Does that mean we're actually on?
That means we're on.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, welcome to the Boardcast. Marcus Stocker back again.
Thank you. By unpopular demand. I think my last one, I think I got 3 views last time, something like that. So
Back for more.
stoked to be back. Yeah, for sure. But,
We thought we'd get Marcus on because he's an expert in Japan, all things Japan. And
we'll narrow it down a little bit to maybe all things more Hokkaido, Japan. I'm definitely not an expert in Honshu so much. I've been going to Japan for almost 30 odd years or whatever it is, but I think it's 27 years or something like that now. But I've done most of my time up in Hokkaido. So I have dabbled in Hakabura and a few places down there, but literally most of my time's been in, almost all of it's been in Hokkaido.
Yeah.
Where was your first?
Where was your first trip? Late 90s?
Yeah, so first trip was,
similar
you'll
time.
remember Snow Wave Tours, most probably.
Yeah, I do.
So Pete Murphy.
Pete. He used to live around here somewhere.
Yeah, Northern Beaches guy.
Yeah,
he had, as far as I knew at that point in time, the only Australian guy that had an operation there at all.
Yeah.
And when I say operation, I think he just had a house in Niseko. I think it was like 98 and 97 to 98.
Yeah.
I think that was my first trip there. So Pete wanted to take a few shots or whatever it was, so grabbed a few of the riders at the time or whatever it was and buffed us a trip over there.
Right.
I can tell you now that there was nothing there.
No.
I mean, there was literally maybe one little restaurant, maybe. There may have been a Lawson, maybe, but literally everything, any food, anything you wanted to get at all, you had to go to Kuchan, pretty much. And there wasn't any buildings there. There was a couple of houses, maybe. There was a couple of little log cabins. Crazy. There was nothing at all, you know.
It was a tiny little resort.
Tiny little. I mean, the resort was actually, the resort itself, the lifts were all pretty much the same.
Yeah.
But the infrastructure at the bottom of the resort was non-existent.
Yeah, it's crazy how they upgrade. My first trips were Hokkaido in the pre-Olympics. So it was a tiny rice farming village with a bunch of mountains. And the rice farmers in winter would stop rice farming, obviously, because they couldn't. And they were the lifties.
Yeah.
So what type of accommodation was available?
It was like pension style. You're basically living in
someone's home.
Well, not their home, but they were running accommodation.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was
like
very
a homestay
different.
sort of thing.
Sort of, yeah. There was only one hotel maybe in the Hokkaido area, and it was pretty much a hostel-y vibe thing. It wasn't a hotel.
Okay.
Yeah.
It
all happened for the Olympics there.
Yeah. Right.
So
what year was that?
98.
98, yep.
Yeah, and then it blew up, and it was like, oh, look at all the accommodation, and crazy after we went back. I think I went back after 98, like the year after, maybe. I can't remember. It's all very blurry. I haven't got the passports anymore. But then you're like, oh, you had your pick of accommodation all of a sudden, but there was still no one there. There was still...
Well, there would have been like millions of hotels with no one in them, basically.
Empty hotels. Yeah, you had your pick. And you could stay in the 5-star place for no money.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts.
I think I went back again like 2 years later for Australian Snowboarding mag. So it was like, I know Hainesy was on that trip.
Niseko.
And a couple of other guys went back to Niseko again. That's where we met Trev Ponting, who was a New Zealand snowboarder. He was kind of our guide, I guess he called guide at the time. But that was there was us basically in that resort for like a week or whatever it was, and Trev Ponting, the New Zealander, and like there wasn't really anyone else that I saw in particular, not Aussies anyway, or anyone from New Zealand.
Just took a while to catch on.
Yeah, but then I went back again, probably for White Room Tours when I started doing guiding for them, and that was a fair chunk later. So probably saw a little bit of change in the first 2 years from say 97 to 98 to like 99 or 2000, whenever it was, but then went back probably about 7 years later, I think it was. Yeah. And that's when I was like, oh shit. Like
should have bought
it had become it's nothing like it is now, because I went back like this year, went to Awani just for the day to ride that little resort, which is just on the coast from Niseko, and we just decided, because we had a car, to just drive back through Niseko, because I hadn't been back in 15 odd years.
Really?
And drove back through this year and went, fuck
nuts,
me, it's like Whistler.
Yeah.
It actually looks like Whistler.
Yeah.
Like
Hanazono.
Hanazono, which used to be literally the bottom of the chair, it had a little ramen hut, and that was it. There's 2-lane highway into it. There's Four Seasons hotels. It's like,
Yeah.
I can't believe what's happened there.
That's
but
nuts.
Yeah.
for those type of people, if you enjoy
Yeah.
that, if you're a ski holiday or whatever it is, then so be it.
100%.
For me, I couldn't go back. Like, it was 15 years ago already when that last trip I took. I was already like, I already knew I wasn't going to go back there.
Yeah.
And
At this point in time, how many Japanese people or how many other tourists were snowboarding there at the time too?
When the 90s.
like back in the
90s,
early,
yeah,
like there was
It was pretty bust, man.
Yeah.
It wasn't much going on because they had their big boom in the 80s. And then the Japan ski industry went bust essentially into the 90s. So it was just
What do you
hanging on
mean
by a thread.
They went bust.
They literally had it was called the ski boom or something.
They thought that they would build, there's almost 600 resorts in Japan. Most people know of maybe 5 or 10, but there's actually 600 resorts in Japan. They built resorts all over the place thinking that Japan was going to become the ski mecca of the world sort of thing. But then they realized
They were just 40 years too early.
yeah, well,
Yeah. It really was like it had a boom and bust. And the
Yeah,
90s was a bust. But the Olympics definitely put eyes back on Japan for skiing. So the problem with having the Olympics in Japan is it actually snows too much. They have real problems because all that GS stuff, it's not meant to be knee-deep power.
it's meant to be
It's
bulletproof.
meant to be, sheet ice,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So they have real trouble they had to have it later. It was a very strange situation. So.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
but no, not a lot of people were over there. Not that I
look.
remember. I clearly kind of remember back to about 2006. That's I have much clearer memories from 2006 on for some reason. Can't imagine why. But just age, I guess.
Stop smoking weed.
Yeah, it might have been a bit of that. But yeah, it's it basically. But by then they were catching on. 2004, 5, 6. I guess people were starting to go regularly. But what was your first year?
My first year would have been, I want to say...
How old are you? 31.
I'm 31 now. And it was when I was 21, so 10 years ago.
Right, so 2014. So it was already pretty on by then.
Yeah, and it was like, because I started at Borders 2010, and it was a few years into that.
Right.
And I came with you and your family.
Was that your first trip?
That was my first trip. I came as like your nanny, but I didn't really do a nanny. I nannied you and we went snowboarding.
You just went snowboarding. Oh, well, not a bad gig.
There wasn't much nannying going on.
No.
You paid your own way though.
Yeah, I did.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
I was like, surely we didn't take a fucking nanny. We had,
No, you didn't.
Our
No,
kids
no.
weren't little.
It was like, you and Rowie invited me to come.
Yeah.
The girls were still quite young. So I was like, yeah, I'll look after them. Like, if you guys want to go out for dinner or something like that. But it wasn't like I actually got paid or anything.
I wouldn't have thought so.
I went snowboarding with you every day.
So 2014, see, to me, by 2014, it was on over there.
Yeah.
Hokkaido was known, not
Niseko was blown.
starting
pretty
to
much.
go.
It's already, yeah.
Yeah, we went back to
I've
Niseko 2 years ago.
never ridden the Secco.
Well, yeah.
No.
I mean, like,
Well,
look,
you
back
never
in
will
those
now.
days,
Never
when
will.
you ask about how many people were there, I don't remember ever going into any lift lines. I don't really remember anyone else on the mountain. I mean, there would have been other people on the mountain, but back in the early days, there was no one there.
Yeah.
Like, there was no one. The Japanese weren't even skiing and snowboarding. Like, again, there was a handful of them. It wasn't like there was none, but there was no one there. The entire mountain, we were hiking the peak, and we were the only people hiking the peak. Now, you've got 500 to 1,000 people a day when the peak gate
It's like
opens.
Mount Everest.
Mate, it's worse,
Yeah.
like literally.
Yeah.
But the peak can be tracked now within the first hour of people, it's tracked
It's
pretty
over.
much. But we were tracking the peak all day, going up and going down to Hanazono, back up again, then back up the single chairs and doing the peak over and over and over and over
Riding
again.
next to your own trail.
Yeah,
Do
literally.
you remember Pipu? Remember
Yeah.
2020? We went to Pipu?
Yeah.
2019, whatever it was.
Yeah.
That's what the big resorts were like back then. We were I think that day we were ticket number 12 and 13 or something, right?
Yeah.
And
I got
I think-
a free
yeah.
ticket because it was ladies'
Yeah, it was
day.
ladies'
day.
Yeah.
they just gave her
And
a
lunch
like,
was
what the fuck
included.
do I
Well,
do?
Yeah.
There
and
were
I'm-
more people working than there were riding.
But more to the
Yeah.
point, though, you can see why they're not making money. Though
Yeah.
they're even giving away. They've sold 13 tickets and they've given the 13th one
The
away.
13th one
Like,
was free.
Yeah.
It's not.
And
there's
also,
even resorts there. There's even like you go there now, and there's places you pay like maybe $30 for the day. Like I actually want to almost give them more money. I'm like that just doesn't seem like enough to
Can't.
keep these lifts running and all these people that
Yeah.
they actually the lift is actually when they do stuff for you. They actually brush the snow off your chair.
Yeah, they're
there's one there
working.
like
Yeah.
You go to Thredbo, there's 6 people standing there just talking on their iPhones or whatever it is, and your chair's crusted over the ice and they don't even touch the bloody thing, mate. You know.
Yeah,
So,
and then
anyway.
the lifty gets angry at you when you're trying to get on a
Yeah,
pommer
wait,
or something
no,
like that.
yeah.
And you get-
It's like,
bar down. You're like, just hang on, mate. I know what I'm doing. Like,
yeah, no, they're real good.
But I still know, like when I went in 2014, it was still like you got your lift ticket, which was like $30-$40 and lunch was included.
so where did you go?
Huckleberry.
A Huckleberry. Okay,
Yeah.
So you would have had a Cortina day where they were still giving you get access to the onsen, lunch
included,
and the ticket for $30.
Yeah.
That would have been 2014. Yeah. And I mean, look, to be honest,
What's the ticket there now? I mean, I know it's on the Epic Pass, but
you
what
have
is the
the
ticket there now?
option to buy a ticket, which is I think $50, and then
Yeah.
you can add lunch
Yeah.
as well to have a combo.
Probably what, another $15?
I think it's
Yeah.
another 10, 15 bucks.
Wow.
They've also linked Cortina and the resort next to it's called Norikura, and they're linked now.
Yeah.
So the one ticket covers both.
Yeah.
So it's actually a massive resort when you think of it like that. It's pretty big, and if you know your way around the back, unreal. If you don't, it's probably a bit of a shit show.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you're Hokkaido expert. I'm more Hokkaido expert. Those 7 resorts, I know like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
I can still go there now when it's busy, and we'll be riding freshies all day because people just don't know where to turn.
Yeah.
Well, there's a mountain called Iwataki there. You can literally ride off a trail, just know where to cut into the trees, and it's yours. No one will.
But again, if you don't know exactly and you make a mistake, you might end up in no man's land.
Yeah,
even Cortina that day that we rode
Cortina's
with,
mind-boggling that no one's found that.
And
it's in the middle of the resort. It blows people's minds.
everyone rides this side and tracks it all out by like midday.
So you've got to get in amongst that because it's unreal. It's steep and it's fun, right? And
but after that, you go somewhere else.
Yeah, we've got a spot in the... I shouldn't even talk about it.
Cam, Al and I at like 4 p.m.
Cam from Melbourne.
Waist deep runs at 4 p.m. in the afternoon at Cortina.
And people, like when I said to Cam, don't worry, we've got the Savo sorted. He's like, what are you talking about, man? I'm like, don't worry about it. We've got, the Savo will be riding freshies. It'll be deep. No one will be in there. And
is it north facing? Is that why does it get sun?
The whole mountain doesn't really get
a lot of sun.
It's facing. It's the perfect.
And it's in a little gully too, so a lot of people avoid it because they think, oh, you can't get out of there.
It doesn't look like, maybe from the top you might be like, oh, that looks a bit. But it's perfect. It's so good, and you pop out of the lift.
Yeah.
It's staggering, and you're popping out going, I hope no one's watching. But they just don't seem to understand it.
But by that time, when in the afternoon, everyone's had the morning and they're like, okay, it's done. Have lunch, head off, and don't keep riding.
Those guys are probably battling.
Well, they're back. Yeah, they're back at the bar talking about their deep powder and with their GoPros and whatever. So.
It's beautiful, light, dry snow. It's nuts. But
how many trips to Huckleberry have you done?
I don't know. It'd be in the
20s?
Yeah, I'd say so.
And how many trips to the North Island have you done?
I would say it would be close to 20.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I've done a bunch of trips to Canada as well and a few to Europe and whatever. Well, it hasn't been Japan every year, but it's pretty much been Japan every year for like 27 odd years.
2024, right? So I can't be too many more than 20 because there were 2 pandemic years.
Yeah.
And I didn't go twice a year. I was only going once a year. So it'd be about 20, about the same probably. And we're of similar age, so we'd be similar numbers.
How many trips to Hokkaido have you done? It's 2 now, no?
3.
3?
3. I think 3 times I've been up there.
And you to Honshu?
Literally 1 trip.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So for me, it's always been... I don't know. For me, I haven't had a lot of time there, so it's always been generally in February. This is probably why I've gone to Hokkaido mainly, is because of work and like having to sell in everything through January. We used to, obviously collate the orders, and then we'd be free to go somewhere in February. It's always February. Before then, I was working in a shop. We were kind of busy during summer, so it'd be February. So it's always February, where Honshu can be kind of already turned off by then. It can still get good for sure, but. Hokkaido's its best month is generally February in general, and if you're only going to go for 10 days or 2 weeks and for me, I want to be as guaranteed to get the power, the good stuff as possible, I guess.
Well, that's this trip we're about to do, right? Second half of Feb that we're going to try and do Honshu. We're going to head far north on Honshu, but if it's not on, if we get there and the weather doesn't look like it's on, we'll be on a plane.
Straight up,
We'll just ditch out.
Because it's literally, it can be literally 10 degrees, and the mountains are higher. There's some bigger, higher alpine mountains on Honshu for sure. But
huge.
like just in general, if you're at the same elevation, it can be almost 10 degrees colder up in
north.
Hokkaido on the same day. Yeah. So you generally don't get the warm. Again, generally they had a couple of warm days last year in February and stuff. But you don't get those warming days and those layers in the snow Edens. The snowpack's pretty stable most of the time.
Have you seen this year's long range?
Well, it's El Nino, so
They're
it should be bumper in theory.
Monster. The Japanese.
You have like the best cheeky grin on your face.
For sure, and I want it to be, but like we all know that it's just like
know.
you just never know, you know.
Well, they are calling. Like I saw a long range forecast that said 60% above average snowfall.
Which I mean, their average is already. If you look at somewhere that's coastal and
Between
like
14 and 20.
14 meters, 16 meters, or whatever. So you're talking like 20 to
60%.
25 meters or something.
Yeah,
Then like
that's
you're talking Mount Baker type stuff. I
that's
suppose.
way steep every day, pretty much.
Yeah, I was even
It's
looking,
nuts.
like I was comparing how many meters fall in Feb to how many meters fall in March, and it's like almost identical as well too.
On Hokkaido,
No, on
Honshu.
yeah, I looked up because I was looking
Really?
at Yoko because I'm going in March, and I was a bit worried because it's
It's
towards
definitely not peak season in March.
No.
Like my personal opinion of Honshu is Australia Day. 2 weeks further from that is peak Honshu. Normally,
Well, I wonder if
25th, 26th.
maybe because it's warmer, that snow that's falling, maybe it's denser or something like that, and it's
Possibly.
like. But I think if you
Yeah.
looked, I mean, do you look at like if you go to Snow Japan,
Yeah,
they've got
January.
all the nows sort of thing, and you can go back in the archives and go back 25 years pretty much and see all the graphs of all the accumulations basically over the last 25 years for a bunch of the resorts. Hakuba, there's a bunch of them. There's about 12 or 13 in total, but
Yeah.
you can definitely see trends there too. Yeah, I would be. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'd be amazed if Honshu had similar snowfall in March as it would in February or January. Because to me, it's mainly January. January's when they tend to get pounded.
Yeah, but it was like January was like definitely higher, and then Feb and March weren't that far off, like super similar.
Yeah.
Maybe that was just the last year that I was comparing.
Yeah, I was going to
to.
say, because last year
They had a big
it
March.
warmed up right, and same in
March was
Hokkaido, it
massive.
totally warmed up through February and then it dumped back through March again,
Yeah,
which it hasn't
that's what
done
I
in
would have
years.
been looking at.
Yeah.
That's unusual.
Have a look, have a look at like a 10-year, go to Snow Japan and go and have a look at the nows and go back and look at the 10-year or 15-year archives, and you can they actually plot all the graphs on each other. So each year's got a different color, and you can actually see everything.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really, really concise, good way to look at.
It's changing
Snowfall
over there for
totals,
sure, especially Honshu. Like the last few trips I've done to Honshu, I've seen rain. And man, for the first 15 years that I was going there, I never saw it rain once. Never saw it rain once in that Hakuba region in January or February. And then probably last 2 or 3 trips I've done to that area, I've seen rain. And I'm like, what's going on? I'll just drive into Nagano and get a ramen. But it's weird to see the rain happening.
Well, you look at like for
on
Hokkaido,
times.
like most of the mountains, some of the bigger ones, like in the Daisetsu mountain range, are up to 2,000 and a bit. But most of the resorts, like Furana and Niseko, they're all around 1,200 sort of thing. And so a lot of it goes down towards sea level almost. So you're talking about, maybe 100 to 200 above sea level sort of thing. So most of the island, which is covered in snow, obviously in winter for 3 or 4 months, is actually quite low. So if they get a few degrees warmer, a lot of those lower areas are actually going to, because they're not very high, they'll actually feel, if there is some climate change or if it is happening, which it probably is, like they'll probably see that quite dramatically there.
Yeah, you'd think
because
so.
they don't have the big
not
mountains
high.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Mexico City's as high as any ski resort in Japan.
No.
Yep. Facts.
Yeah, no, I believe that. I've been there.
2,200 meters.
I've been there, but I just didn't take that
Mexico
into
City's, I think,
consideration.
6,600 feet or 6,800 feet.
Crazy.
And there's no mountains in Japan that tall. Maybe Asadake might be right.
I think it goes up towards its base is about 1,100 and it goes up to something close to that.
2,000 something.
Yeah, Mexico City's higher than most ski resorts in Japan. Almost all. Yeah, crazy.
Insane.
But I don't know. I think we're definitely going to see some weather impact in Japan, but it's not going to be anything like it is here. We're on the tipping point in Australia of having snow, whereas there it'll go from 14 metres to 10. It's not going to disappear. You're not going to see it. Not in our.
I think like the weather patterns too. Like
maybe in mine.
The temperatures, they could fluctuate, but you're always going to get west-northwest winds that come across from Siberia with the cold air, basically, come across the Sea of Japan, pick up moisture. The first thing they do is hit the mountains in Japan, whether it's Honshu or Hokkaido. They hit the mountains and they just let go of their white joy, basically, you know. But that system, that type of system will always exist. Whereas Australia, like, well, where's the system coming from? Like, is it coming from inland? Is it coming from the coast?
Well, that was
we just don't have that consistent airflow sort of thing.
Did you find, like this year where we had our big fall in Australia?
The one big fall?
Yeah, the only one. Came from a coastal front. It didn't come from the usual bite.
It was super wet. Like, it was really dense snow. I was there for those 2 days. It was fun. Yeah. There was a lot of snow, but it wasn't dry by any means.
Big, thick, heavy.
Yeah. It's what we needed at that point in time. It got the season going. Unfortunately, after that, it went to 30 degrees again and disappeared. But,
we don't talk about Australian seasons anymore on here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I don't want to either, mate. Trust me. That one's in the past. Yeah. We only look forward to Northern Hemisphere now. So
for Japan, your trip planned is February this year?
No, leaving on the 28th, so it's exactly the same day I left last year, so like back into January.
We've
literally
talked about it. I think we're in the same spot.
You just don't know.
No, I think he's actually like leaving he's on a day flight, I think, a day after me. Like I'm on a night flight on the 28th and he flies on the 29th.
I think I'm just chasing him.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing Tokyo for a few days. So I've got my children and wife for that first bit. So I'm confused.
And that's a crazy thing. Like everyone's like, oh, so how many times have you been to Tokyo? Mate, I've still, apart from flying in and out of Haneda or Narita, I've never been to Tokyo.
Really?
Because I've always gone to Hokkaido, basically.
Yeah,
so I've always...
So you just connect and
I just jump on the connection, get to Hokkaido.
I haven't seen a lot of Japan.
No, I've seen none of Japan.
Okay.
I've seen lots of Hokkaido.
That's crazy.
Hokkaido's got nothing.
No, but I don't care. I just got snow, mate. I don't go there. I'm not a big city person.
Yeah, right.
I don't need flashing lights and I don't know, whatever, man.
It's an experience.
I know. But that's why I just brought up things. I thought it was worth actually mentioning that.
That's interesting.
I've seen none of Japan, literally apart from Hokkaido Mountains, pretty much.
I feel like we've travelled Japan.
Yes, we have now.
We've really travelled Japan.
Prior to that, I don't think I'd really done Tokyo that well. You do it for like what, 1 or 2 days sort of thing.
Yeah, and you do the same 5 fucking spots.
And
you see the giant cat and the billboard.
Right. Yeah.
You want to kill yourself. And, it's hard. Tokyo's a strange place. I love it, but I also hate it.
Yeah,
it's hectic.
Yeah, and see, that's not why I want to go to Japan. No. You know, like if I want to be hectic, I can go to Sydney, go down to Darling Harbour and whatever. I know it's different. I know, but I know.
Darling Harbour is like a walk in the park compared to a hectic day in Japan. It's mental.
But that's not something I really want to be part of.
No.
I want serene mountains.
What about the food though? The food is unbelievable in these cities.
I'm sure it would be. Yeah.
Like the food in Hokkaido, to be fair, not as good as Honshu.
That's okay.
Hey,
it's not a battle, mate.
You're purely...
It's not. Hey, mate, stick to Honshu, buddy.
Yeah, right. I just want you to go eat it. I want you to go... I feel like it's such an amazing country to travel in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't care, do you?
Not really. I just want to go snowboarding. Again, if I had a month to travel in Japan, I'd probably spend a week doing Tokyo, Osaka, or wherever. Because I've only ever gone there for like 10 days, 2 weeks. A lot of them, they were guiding trips for...
so you're rushing in.
I'm literally going in for 10 days snowboarding and coming back out again. And that's why I don't want to fart ass around in a big city with a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Yeah.
I understand. I don't either, to be honest. I get suckered into it now.
Yeah, and then... Okay, on the food topic then, because you say Honshu's got better food.
The ramen's off its head on Honshu.
But you honestly, so you haven't had it, so you've had a bunch of ramen and Hokkaido then as well? Yeah. And you think there's a difference in ramen? Because really? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think I've had some good ramen.
Oh, you have. Don't get me wrong. It's still world class. But Honshu, I mean, it's just a pure density of population situation, right? So 95% of people live on Honshu in Japan. So 95% more good chefs are on Honshu.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Best ramens I've ever had are in Honshu.
But are you talking about in Tokyo? Are you talking about...
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah. My favorite place in Japan is a little tiny place in Nagano. And it's hard to describe.
But
so good.
I'll put it on the list.
Each different area and region have a different ramen.
Well, the
style.
noodles are grown in the hills up the road. That's where you pay an extra $1 and you get the local noodles
for that house.
And it's just something out of this world. I can't even describe how good they are. So yeah, I don't know. I just think the food's slightly. I find Hokkaido. It's almost like going to a country town.
Well, it is. It is the whole place. I mean, apart from Sapporo.
So the gyoza's amazing up there because that's where it's from, I believe. It's where it originated or whatever.
It's very, they're meat and dairy, right?
Yeah, they're meat and dairy.
Well, Hokkaido grows most of Japan's food.
Yeah.
So,
and then they send it to
especially around Furano and places like that. Like, we used to, we would walk around at night time. There'd always be, onion skins in the snow. We were just always like,
what's going on?
Why is there onion skins and then we figured out that the trucks they're all night, all day and all night, they're carting onions basically out of the town because they grow them in town. Obviously, they grow a lot of pumpkins there, onions and all that sort of stuff, and lavender and whatever it is in summertime. But they're literally trucking that stuff out of their sheds all day. We're probably going to a port wherever it is, maybe down near Sapporo or wherever it is. But yeah, basically they grow a lot of the food, a lot of the staples and stuff like corn and that sort of shit as well as growing up in Hokkaido. Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, I presume Honshu is just rice, right? I don't think they do a lot of farming. This is turning into a travel.
What was it? Rice is more of a tropical kind of a.
I think they need the heat. Yeah, because it gets really hot on Honshu.
But same with Hokkaido though. Like for being it gets mid-30s in summertime.
Right?
It's
so it's tropical,
steamy, mate. Like
have
really.
You been there in summer?
No,
you need to go.
No. Yeah, but that would be wintertime for us. Well, just give me some time off work.
Okay, well,
I won't service the shop then for a couple of weeks. And,
May.
Not that I do anyway.
Spring or autumn.
Yeah, again, I need to do it for sure.
It will make you'll just be like, what the fuck? This country looks so different. It's a jungle.
For sure. Yeah.
The whole place is a jungle. You get there and you're like, no way. My wife used to. She calls it. What does she say? She calls winter in Japan.
Oh, she was
There's
trying
just
to
death everywhere.
She was trying to explain the seasons changing.
Yeah, just death everywhere.
Yeah, because there's no trees and no leaves in the trees and everything's just white or dead grey. Yeah.
And you get there in spring or autumn even, and the colour you're like, whoa, I've never seen anything like it. It's like one giant jungle. City, jungle. City, jungle. You're driving, you're like, okay, we've hit the edge of the city because it just turned green. Everything just goes green. Then you hit another city, grey.
Well, they get a shit like they get a lot of snow. They get a shitload of rain, right?
Yeah.
So hence the jungle, I guess. So,
and
great growing conditions, and it's volcanic soil and all that sort of stuff.
There was some cool footage came out of Tokyo this year where the water was just flooding into that railway lines, like just a river going down the stairs,
like into the subway sort of thing. Yeah.
Just incredible amount of rain that they get.
Crazy.
Super cool. Anyway, we've got so off.
Did we digress? It felt like we did, but we're still talking about Japan.
I'm relying on you to keep this on the rails.
Yeah, I am.
Because
this is just becoming a debate between you.
No, I think
North and
Hokkaido's.
South.
It's an H off.
Yeah. It's Hokkaido's incredible. The snow up there is better. It's a different. It's just it's consistent. Yeah, we don't get the layers in it, and probably don't get. Some places get the meters and meters. I think you get bigger. You can get bigger dumps. Let's just say on the western coast of Honshu than what you do up in Hokkaido. Yeah, the deepest days I've ever had in my life have been on Honshu. But the quality and consistency of the snow up north is superior.
Because places like Furano, like
zero comparison.
Before it got really populated with scooters and snowboards and tracked out quite easily, 2 or 3 days after the storm, the snow quality would be way better. No, it'd be better, mate. Because it's like -20 at night. It's clear as a bell. Because they don't get because they're off the coast. They don't get nearly the moisture and as much, but they don't get quite the snow totals either. Yeah. But if you would then ride an area that hadn't been ridden, like 2 days after a storm, after it cleared, it was so dry and just blow up out. Yeah, better.
Wow.
Better. So even lighter.
It would get better. But now there's too many people in Furano, so now it gets tracked out and you've got to go there and be there that day that it falls kind of thing. But back in the day before the Hordes got there 15 years ago, man, you could ride POW like 3 or 4 days after a storm, like no problems, as good as every day would get better almost. Like,
Yeah, it's getting more popular up there too. What's the little place up above it?
Seikawa.
Seikawa.
Yeah.
That's starting. I'm hearing that all the time in the shop. That's how we know what's going on down there. On the floor, you go, where are you off to? And they tell you, and you're like, oh no,
there goes that.
Find that.
There goes that.
Yeah, one after
Well, I mean,
another.
I don't want to bag Mint Tours. They're doing a great job, but they're giving it to everyone basically. And I'm just like, look at all their posts. I'm like, man, like you're just giving it to them. They show the shot of the gondola with the town in the background, and with a dude doing a turn. I'm like,
and then they do like a tagged location.
Yeah,
but
you're kind of shooting your own business in the foot too. Yeah. You're telling people where to go.
They don't need you anymore.
They don't need you anymore.
Yeah,
like,
it's crazy. I remember when you gave us a place to go up in Hokkaido and said, don't post a photo of the gondola.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because it kind of is only one of them. So.
I took a photo of us in front of the gondola and sent it to you.
Yeah, don't post that.
Guess where we are.
Yeah, great place.
Yeah,
anyway.
there's still a bunch of there's still a lot of places to find and discover, and it'll be like that for years to come. But people are getting gamer. They're getting a little bit. They're kind of sick of going to Niseko when they've done that sort of thing.
The infrastructure's there now. Yeah, previously you guys were talking about, and it wasn't there. Yeah. And like you were rocking up, and it was like a little hut, and that was it.
Yeah,
so
you had to organise yourself a bit better back then.
Yeah.
Now you can jump in a car. We book accommodation as we go. We don't, like when Claire and I do our missions.
With booking.com now, it's like, you don't even have to pay for it till you get there. You're just booking it it's so easy.
We've driven into a place going, shit, we've got nowhere to stay.
Yeah, and I'm like, what about things on the floor? And he's like, nope, not sleeping on the floor. I'm like,
don't deter me, Matt.
No, I want an inner-spring mattress, or I'm not staying there. That's about my only requirement. I don't care the size or the quality. I just need an inner-spring mattress.
Yeah.
I'm going to be so sore if I don't have an inner-spring mattress. It's great. What about, I'm going to ask my question first. Favourite?
Can I ask my...
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, because
I want to ask both of you.
I want to circle back on the ramen.
Yep.
Okay. Do you want to go?
At what trip number did you fall in love with ramen? Because it wasn't
the first one.
It wasn't the first one, was it?
No, I think I was... It took me a while to really wrap my head around Japanese food. So I was eating just fried chicken for the first 2 or 3 trips. I was big on the fried chicken. Ramen, I think I've fallen in love with ramen in a big way in the last sort of 15 years. Like I stayed in that place, Hokkaido Backcountry Lodge. Hokkaido Backcountry Lodge? Backcountry Lodge Hokkaido, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And the guy I became good friends with, Eric, who runs it, he's like, you've got to go to my favourite ramen place. It's down on the main road. And I'm like, why would I go down the main road? And he goes, mate, trust me, you can't book a table. Just got to rock up and wait. And I'm like, okay, cool. I went down there and they do a salt ramen. And I was like, I've never tasted anything like this in my life. I wonder what other ramens they do. And that's where it began for me. So someone gave me a tip and said, try it. And then I realized there's shoyu and miso. And it's like, oh man, this is nuts.
I thought about this because remember we had one of the guys who went to Japan and was messaging you being like, where are the good ramen spots? We're not having any good ramen. Like, how are you hyping this up so much? And I realized the first 2, maybe 3 trips, I was not that big of a ramen person.
You've got to find it. You got to know where to go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a bowl of 2-minute noodles.
I know how to order it too.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, now I'll be honest. I think that ramen are great, Ben. I love having ramen for lunch, but I'm not a ramen aficionado like you. No, because
he is for sure.
I'd rather go to a shab house for dinner sort of thing. Like that to me is way more interesting. Sorry, it's waving meat into a boiling broth, so maybe not so much your cup of tea, so to speak.
It was though. I'm only recently not a meat eater,
right?
So I've been there.
But I'm definitely not
like cooking your own
into
food.
ramen as much as what you guys are. I don't reckon.
You prefer to cook your own food in a restaurant. Well, I fucking hate that. It's like I'm paying you.
I actually love that. I'll be honest. Korean barbecues, anything that...
Fuck that. I'm paying you and you're bringing me out raw food. Fuck you.
It's
like a barbecue in the middle of my table.
I think it's great, mate. Yeah,
it's all right. Anyway, it's socially fun. And
I think good ramen is good, but I just don't think that's like, I'm not going out looking for ramen. If it's there, I'll eat it, but it's not like my...
I think if I gave you some of my hot spots though, like we've done 2,000 kilometer loops searching for ramen.
Yeah, right.
When we do the vintage clothing buys, we're like, we do our trips based on the ramen.
On the ramen,
Yeah.
Because the clothes are everywhere.
Yeah.
You can go anywhere and get them. So we just do a ramen loop. And
Interesting.
we drove 400 Ks out of the way last trip.
Both times. Not last time,
For ramen.
both times.
Yeah, for ramen.
Wow.
We will drive
start
4 hours in the opposite direction
to
to
where
eat
we
this
should go.
ramen.
Jesus, there must be some good ramen out there, man.
There's some good ramen.
Yeah.
I've got a lot to learn.
Yeah, anyway, we'll find it. My question?
Go.
Favorite 7-Eleven Lawson's? If
So-
you had to pick one, like if you, like the thing that you go in there and you're like, I can't not get one.
I gotta say, probably pork buns.
Oh, really? You like the old dodgy pork buns?
Absolutely, yeah. Especially out when you're cold, you've been riding for 4 hours or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just
it's
a warm
ready to go.
pork bun that's sitting there. I also do love the potato salad pouch. They've got these pouches of salad. It's like coleslaw, pasta salad, potato salad. I think they're like 100, like maybe 100 yen each, like a buck each or whatever it is. But they're little pouches. Just rip the top off and just squeeze it in.
Yeah.
Me and my wife call them we call them airwiches, but they're like these little sandwiches, literally the crust cut off. But like you get 3 or 4 in a pack, but you could eat 60 packs and you're still not full on them. But we call them airwiches sort of thing.
Yeah,
There's so many.
There's so much.
There's
stuff
so
in
much
there,
there.
isn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yours?
Oh, it depends on the time of day.
Okay, so you're going. I'll give you a scenario.
Okay.
You've had dinner.
Oh,
You're walking back to your hotel or accommodation, and you're like, "Oh, I've got to do the Lawson's mission."
Couple of chewies, wouldn't
What
it
are
be?
you buying?
A couple of shochu
Oh
cans.
yeah, strong.
Oh, yeah.
9%.
9%.
Like $2, mate.
The lemon strong.
Oh my god.
Well, they get you. in
You're lucky
trouble.
if you even get back to your hotel room.
Exactly.
We had 2 of them and ended up in the opposite direction on
My
a train.
God.
And I was so drunk and I was the one leading everyone being like, no, it's fine.
Yep.
We were like 40 kilometers in the wrong direction because we got drunk. And I had my kid with the only sober people were the children. It was bad. It was a bad scenario.
At that time of like after dinner.
So non-alcoholic
After
snack.
dinner snack. Or I would have to say I love the little like mochi balls with ice cream in it.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
I love them.
Packets
And
of mochi balls.
mochi ice cream balls. And also I do like the wafer things with the vanilla ice cream and chocolate layered in it.
Like a
wafer-
sandwich, like
wafer
a
sandwich
vanilla sandwich. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
for
good.
me.
Yeah,
You?
good calls.
Mine's that cracked caramel. They're like a creme caramel thing, and they've got the caramel on top.
Oh yeah.
And you hit it.
So it's
and
like a creme brulee almost.
Yeah,
sort
sort
of.
of. It's frozen. It's like ice cream under it. I've checked the packet. I've Google Translate. Literally no dairy somehow. And I'm like, what
Just
the
sugar.
fuck? How is this? It's pure sugar
Who
ice
cares?
cream. You hit the thing and it cracks, and it sounds like it came out of a restaurant. It's like $1 in the food. And every time I walk past, I get one. I wait till I let it sit for a while so it gets creamy. It's fucking great. They're great. And I love the Soy Joy bars.
Oh,
They're
you
like
went obsessed
I
with them.
spent a whole trip where I ate every flavour, and there's like 30 flavours. I reckon I had every one. I was basically just living off Soy Joy bars. I don't know what they are.
I mean,
But they were
like,
great.
you know, you'd want to do better than just going to a 7-Eleven or a Lawson for dinner every night. But you can actually live quite healthfully out of that shop.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
not like
absolutely.
here. You wouldn't be able to do that here. But
No.
you can get, your sushi there. You can get, you've got
Yeah.
your
It's all
bento
there.
boxes. You get everything. And
You can get
orange
like,
juice. I mean, you can get
Yeah.
booze and stuff as
you-
well. But you can get,
Have you ever discovered the fruit drink thing where you buy it? It's all like in the cup, and then you put it in the machine, and it adds the water. And
nah.
it's like you can make smoothies in
I'll make
7-Eleven
I'll be
now.
looking into that on the 29th of January.
It's
Yeah,
a smoothie
you can get
thing.
different. There's like mango, kale, it's all frozen
you want.
veggies,
Yep.
and then you put it in a thing, and the machine like blends it.
blends
for you.
it.
It
Yeah,
adds
right.
the water and blends it,
Yeah.
and it comes out, and you're like, "Wow, that's $2." What
Yeah.
the-
Only in Japan.
Yeah,
Only in
amazing,
Japan.
amazing. What about?
The only bad thing is the packaging, though. The
Yeah,
amount of it's just like you've got like every lolly. Anyway,
And
like,
then they'll
And then-
wrap it and put it in a
yeah,
bag.
yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? What just
And no
happened?
bins.
Yeah, no bins. And you have to have a receipt. It's like recito. It's like, no, I don't need the receipt.
I
And
probably
they're
don't
like,
need
yeah,
the 3 yen as well either. You
Yeah.
chuck them,
they'll
There's
never
usually
let
a jar there for like a little
Yeah,
donation.
yeah.
You can
Yeah.
chuck them into,
The
I suppose. So.
The 1 yens are so light.
Yeah, no, they're like,
The-
they're aluminium, right? They're just like they're really light aluminium. Though.
Yeah, has no value.
No.
It's like,
No. Yeah.
chuck it over your shoulder.
Alrighty.
Make a wish. Hang on.
Question.
I got one more question.
One more go.
Ever eaten Moss Burger?
Yeah.
Do you like it?
It's okay.
Okay.
It's not a bad burger joint, let's just say. It's kind of a there's one in the airport at Chitose at Sapporo there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a bit of an institution when you're either getting off the plane
You always grab
and you're a bit hungry, or just before you get on the plane, get. But there's a Moz Burger in most of the decent sized towns. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's not bad.
I'm a big fan of the jalapeno burger. It's vegan, right?
Yeah.
There was a vegan one with a jalapeno.
Yeah.
I love it. I could smash
Yeah,
10 of those.
if you've been there for long enough, you get to a point where you're like, oh, just give
I
me
just want a burger.
Something, yeah.
Just
And I mean,
give me like,
You're just done with
you can always
Japanese
you
food.
can go to McDonald's or KFC, whatever, but at least Moz Burger feels like, you're going to a burger joint,
Still
you're getting something
Japanese.
that's a little bit kind of Australian / American / English or whatever it is, but at least it's got a Japanese flavour to
I'm
it. I
surprised
suppose.
no one's opened one here. I think
I
it
know.
would do okay.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, better than Wahlburgers or whatever that shit is. There's so
So
many bad
on
ones.
that kind of train of thought, what's the craziest thing you've eaten in Japan?
Oh, I know mine straight away.
what?
Sea cucumber.
I've tried that before. It's pretty horrible.
pretty bad.
It's pretty
I
bad.
was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
why did I put that in my mouth?
It's
Yeah.
like eating, I don't know, it's like got no flavour. It's like a watery eggplant thing.
like-
I don't know, man. It's
The
pretty
texture
bad.
was something out of this world.
Yep.
I put it in my mouth. I had to wash it down with a beer and just didn't finish it.
If-
I felt bad.
If
'cause I
you
didn't
look at a
finish
sea cucumber in like an aquarium, it looks exactly
it.
like it tastes.
Tastes like how it looks. Yeah,
Yeah, it's exactly
does.
right.
It's like whatever
Yeah.
you imagine it to taste like, spot on. Yeah, they're
No,
fucking
thank you.
disgusting. That was the worst thing. I've had horse too.
I've had,
Which
so
is-
mine, well, I was going to say that leads in, I've had sashimi horse.
Yeah, sashimi horse, which, to be honest, tasted not that bad.
It was kind of just, I was expecting like really gamey, like
Yeah.
red meat. It was quite fatty sort of thing. I wouldn't really get it
wasn't
again, but
that, like I dipped it in wasabi and soy, and it tasted no different to tuna really. It's a similar texture. And,
But they have got some amazing food, even at 7-Eleven or whatever you go, and they've got those cryovac packs, and like you literally don't really know what they are. Like you can, you don't know if it's like animal, mineral, vegetable. Is it a plant? I don't even. Is it an eyeball? Like, there's just
What
stuff.
am I eating?
I've never seen half the stuff they've got there. I don't even know what that is.
no idea. But you just
Yeah.
wing it and have a go.
Yeah.
What's your weirdest thing?
I don't know. I actually don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you've done any of that. Like we used to go to we'd seek them out, those weird things. And
Whereas like the first few trips I did, I was strict vegan. So
yeah,
I was
which is impossible over there.
very impossible, but like I was like, no meats, no seafood.
Yeah.
Or I think I ate a little bit of
You fucking
seafood, but
ate rice
because
for the whole
I'm-
trip, that's it.
yeah, but because I was, for the first couple of trips, I was eating that way, I wasn't really being like, oh, fuck it, yeah, I'll try this, I'll try this. I
yeah.
was
You're not
more
eating horse.
restrictive. I was like, oh, what's in that?
It's funny, isn't it? You tend to find yourself. As soon as I fly out to Japan, all my dietary stuff goes out the window. I'm like,
Yeah,
whatever. I'm
that's
just
how
gonna
I am
eat.
now.
Japan, just
When
eat
in
whatever comes. Like there's like in Furana, there's still restaurants there now that I have no idea what, like the outside of it's just kanji basically. I don't know what the restaurant serves.
Yeah.
Go in there, I don't even know what the menu says, but you
No.
just point to a few things and whatever comes out, man, you
Just
eat
have
it.
a
It's
go.
like fried chicken feet, this, that, whatever. You're like, fuck, whatever, man, just
It's
eat it.
edible. They're eating
Just eat
it.
it. They're eating it. So
It must be okay.
I don't know. If
it's
I could
kind
eat
of a
chicken
game though.
feet.
It's like, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, it's lucky dip.
just pick that, and that. You got to
Hope
eat
for
it.
the best.
Yeah.
That's how I ended up with sea cucumber. So that, fuck, what have I done? Yeah, that was a bad choice. But, all right, let's talk boards. Are we on to boards yet?
Yeah, what board are you taking?
Let's talk beer before we talk
Oh, yeah,
boards.
beer.
Sydney
Oh,
Beer
you've
Co.
been waiting for beer.
New
You gotta
sponsors. New sponsors.
Get some
Tell
beer.
Not
me-
necessarily
What's the deal with this?
The deal is that you guys will just get a free,
get a free fridge.
cooler, basically get a free fridge. Yep.
Cool.
That gets stocked with this brand of beer that my buddy's doing, pretty much. That's
Awesome.
locally made. I think it's made in Mascot somewhere. I'm pretty sure.
Lovely.
But
And
yeah.
he's from the Northern Beaches.
Yeah, he just lives on Darley Road, just
Do
up
you
there.
want one,
at,
Claire?
Sure,
at
I'll have a
Queenscliff.
beer.
I'm
Yeah.
going to try it. Oh, fuck, they're hard to get. I'm still on a microphone, aren't I?
Yes.
Yep.
So that would have been really noisy. And
That's all right. Goes to the authenticity of the show, mate.
Yeah.
You know, so
Right.
Or
there it
they're
is.
ice
they're
cold
ice
now.
cold.
Yeah, they're really cold.
Should we go at simultaneous crack?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, I can't.
I fucked that
On
up.
you, Dave.
too.
Thanks, mate.
Sydney Beer Co. Oh, it smells good.
It's beer. Good.
Oh, that's an easy to drink beer. It's not a fucking horrendous IPA that tastes like off mango juice or anything.
That's why I told him just to give him. He always goes, "What sort of beer? Oh, you just want beer that you can drink that's normal beer." And I'm like,
That's
"Yep,
really good.
he's calling that an easy drinker."
Tim from Rush will love that beer. He loves a beer. It's like, what? I'll come as long as we can drink. I'll do a podcast.
I'll do anything as long as we can drink.
Yeah. That's actually really good.
That's good.
I like the can.
So that's what the beer fridge is going to look like. It's actually a beer fridge that's got those colours that looks like that can, essentially.
Very cool.
There's
so many good beers. I bet your mate's rich soon because that one will get bought. Carlton will be all over it. It's too good.
Yeah.
It's one of the nicest looking cans I've ever
It's a good looking can.
seen. And the name's really good. I can't believe no one had that name.
Yeah, you think that would have gone ages ago, huh?
Sydney Beer Co.
Pretty generic, sort of.
I think for sure that would have been gone. No, it's really good.
There you go.
What's his name?
Dave.
Thank you,
Dave
Dave.
O'Connor.
Thanks, Dave. Good name. It's my middle name. Excelente. Yeah, and I'm not a beer guy. So for me to say it's good, it's pretty good.
Very easy to drink.
Cool,
Yeah, it's
unreal.
easy to drink. All right, so let's talk boards before we run out of day.
Yeah.
What board have you been riding over there in
So,
the last
I mean-
few years? Obviously, for those of you that don't know, Marcus Stocker is the LibTech GNU rep.
New South Wales,
Dude.
well, I mean WA and Queensland as well, a couple of counts up there, sort of thing. But yeah, look, I mean, my riding history in Japan, I rode twins for quite a while, basically, like probably longer than what I should have.
Yeah, I think we all did though, right?
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, shape boards were around then, but everyone was just riding. You just set them back a bit further.
Yeah,
I think
you just set your normal board back.
you know, when we came up with banana rocker in the middle of your board sort of thing, that made a twin tip board a powder board as well, pretty much, you know.
Yeah.
And I think riding powder is like definitely the type of board you're riding is very important, but riding powder is really it's quite a specific movement, or like it's almost a lack of movement sort of thing. But the way you turn in powder is very different from turning a snowboard normally, I believe, and there's a real technique to riding in powder.
Yeah.
When it's really deep, you just don't want to bloody stop, because if you stop, sometimes you don't get going again. Sort of thing. So it's a really, you know, like a, yeah. So, but in the last, you know, couple of years, I had to wait. I had to wait till the Orca came down to 147 because the 5.7 was 262 wide, and I've got a size 7 boot, which is fairy foot.
Yeah.
So that was just too bloody wide. So when they made a 4.7, which brought it down to 2.57, that's when I started riding.
It's still
an Orca.
wide.
Yeah, for me it is. Yeah, which is when
Still
that's why
decent.
I'll get to the Lib rig soon, because that's now become my board of choice. But
So the Orcas was your go-to for a long time,
well, no, not a long that, but only when the 4.7 came out.
which was what, 3 years ago.
No, it's actually about 6 or 7 years ago. But there was a couple of years. So my first time I rode the Orca was in Canada.
Yeah.
And that was pre-pandemic sort of thing. I had a kid during the pandemic, whatever, so I didn't get back to Japan for about 4 years, I think it was, or whatever. But I took an Orca and a twin, basically, the headspace to Canada, to BC for 3 weeks.
Yep.
Needless to say, we kind of got skunked a little bit, but there was a little bit of fresh snow. But the first day, we're actually on, we're at Mount Washington on Vancouver Island. Rode the headspace, went pretty fun. There was no power around. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to chuck the Orca on and just see how it goes, just on the groomers.
Yep.
Put it on, put the binders on, rode it that afternoon. I was just like, even my sister, who was just skiing, she doesn't know anything about snowboarding really. When she saw me riding that board, she goes, whoa. She could see the board look different. She goes, mate, you just look different on that board. Like you're just carving these crazy turns. And I was like, I didn't think I was doing anything different. But yeah, it was really, really good on the groomers and stuff as well. I never really ended up riding that headspace again. And so, yes, we were looking for power and whatever, but I ended up riding that Orca for 3 weeks pretty much, and even riding the park and stuff and everything. And it's not great on jumps and rails, and it's not made for that at all, but it's so versatile.
Yeah.
And that was my first experience with an Orca. I was actually riding it for 3 weeks straight pretty much in Canada, in less than powdery conditions, let's just say. So,
what, in your opinion, makes the Orca that? Like, is it just the versatility that's made it? It's arguably the most popular LibTech board, right?
Well, I mean, yeah.
Known.
Like, I mean, looking at our numbers at the moment, it's going to be our biggest selling board this year for sure,
Yeah.
and it has been up there in the last few years for sure. But I think I'll just grab one, I guess. But I think there's the versatility, obviously. Like a lot of crew buy a board like this, and they're buying it for Japan, obviously, and places like that, or Canada, or whatever it is. But they'll take it out just on the grooms here in Australia, and then they'll realise that it's actually the funnest board that they've ever ridden in any sort of condition, you know.
Yeah.
But what Travis wanted to do when he designed that, like there were a bunch of fish boards around before then, but what he wanted to do was design a fish essentially that could be ridden backwards as well.
Yeah.
He wanted something that was really nimble in the trees, so obviously like volume shifted down, so something that was a little bit wider, obviously. But a lot of the difference in that board to a lot of other fish is the tail. You know, you can see it's called the orca, but that's actually modelled off the fluke of an actual orca whale, pretty much.
Really?
And so that's that kick in the tail there, that makes it quite unique. And then obviously there's the golden orca, which is a bit more twin again, but you can actually ride these things pretty well switch. Like you can ride them switch, you can ride them in powder switch, you can land switch, and that's what he wanted. He wanted a board that was more versatile than just your average fish, pretty much. So,
it's a great board. I love it. I call it my daily driver. When people ask me what I take to Japan, I always say, well, the orca and then the other boards. Yeah. Like, because the orca became my daily driver over there. If I didn't really know what I was going to deal with that day, that's the board I take, because I know it's going to handle everything.
And the good thing is, obviously, is that, you know, it's good on the groomers and stuff. If there's power on the trees, you jump in there. Obviously, that's what it's designed for.
Yeah.
But, you know, you can literally, there's more camber down near the tail here sort of thing. And there's like a bit more mellow out through the nose. But you can literally hover on that tail pretty much. You can just sit on it and kind of load it up and just spring, and it just goes doing. Yeah. Like it's got incredible ollie power, because you're actually ollieing out of such, you can see where the inserts are there. You know, your distance to the tail is so small compared to a normal snowboard. So you're really loading up a really small portion of board and getting an immense amount of spring out of this tiny portion of board here. And I mean, it lands, like, you know, you've ridden it obviously.
I love it.
It effortlessly sits above the snow pretty much.
I find it, I've always found it to be a nice board to ride. I think now they've made a big move too, where the boards get narrower as they get shorter, right? They've fixed up the waist width.
So I think this is the second year they've done that, but the shorter orcas, so from the 50 downwards,
it's now
47, 44, 38, they're actually for a female size foot, which is kind of what the boards were designed for anyway.
Yeah.
So is that why they did it?
Yeah.
Is just so that they could accommodate for females?
Or people like myself that are riding a shorter orca that need something a little bit less wide.
Yeah.
I guess,
You're the unicorn.
I don't think I've got anything to do with the design of anything Mervyn, but
the unicorn.
But then that brings me to that board that's just behind Claire there, which is the Lib Rig. So that's Austin Sweeten's. That's the second year that we've had the Lib Rig. I took that and the orca to Japan this year, and never actually put the orca on my feet at all.
So that's slightly directional?
No, it's reasonably directional. So it's set back. It's got a slight, like a 2mm taper to it as well.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's all right. I'm just having a look.
I mean, the nose, it's got a big, long, scoopy nose as opposed to the tail, but...
So the camber's set back.
Then camber's set back as well. But I wasn't 100% sure if that board was going to have enough float in the deep stuff. That's what I was most worried about. What I liked about it most was the fact that it was narrow. It's 251 in the 53, which is what that one that I'm riding there. Got to Japan this year, got it out in the deep stuff. It floats just as good as an orca, but then you get out onto the groomers and whatever it is, and you've kind of got a normal snowboard under your feet. So.
It's got the length back, right? You get your length back and you keep your.
And so that one, so where orcas you ride them down a lot, sort of thing. Yeah. So the 53 will take up to about 90, 95 kilos, sort of thing.
Yeah. I feel like that's the board that I ended up taking, was the 5.3, and I always felt probably like slightly too big.
Yeah.
Really?
Where that one there, the Lib Rig, you actually ride that up. Because the nose is so long, the contact length of the board's so short, that 53 probably rides more like a 51, but it's got a big nose.
No wonder consumers are starting to fucking make mistakes when they're
buying online. So you ride this down, you ride that up, literally. So it's two different ways of...
So don't buy online, people. Come in, see us. You won't make these mistakes.
Yeah, it's crazy. Some people come in and go, wait, so what size powder board do I need? And you're like,
God, how do I even have this
It depends on the board.
Yeah, you can't just say, hey man, you should ride this size board anymore, because those rules are gone.
Yeah. Because I mean, these are all powder boards, obviously, but something like the Orca, because it's so wide, the planing surface on that, like in a 53 has probably got the planing surface of like a 57 or a 58.
Yeah.
So we were talking about this before. I would ride a 4.3, so a
like
4.44
a 4.4 probably
in an Orca.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
I mean, you could probably ride a 4.7 as well, but at like 60, whatever odd kilo, you know.
But that's right. Like in the powder boards that I have ridden in the past, it's been from a 4.4 up to a 5.2.
Yeah.
Like that's the range of it.
And that's the hard thing of, you know, people come into to store and they'll be like, you know, I'm going to Japan, I'll get an Orca sort of thing. You go, well, 53 is for you. And they're like, you know, 6 foot, but they're only like 85 kilos. They're like, but that thing's tiny. But what you got to realise, the board doesn't really, I mean, you get more leverage out of when you're taller and stuff like that. So sometimes you need a longer board.
It doesn't really know how tall you are.
A board doesn't know how tall you are. It knows how heavy you are. And that's why weight is kind of everything. So
yeah, it flexes. It's based off flex, right? It's off what pressure you're putting onto the board. So if you're tall and skinny, bad luck.
It's like how much power can your weight?
Yeah, there is a tipping point with it when they get super tall.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, oh, you can't put him on a 5.3 because his stance width becomes an issue. But
yeah, for sure.
As soon as they, most people you've got to figure out their weight, not their height.
Yeah.
And what's the deal with this retro ripper? I love this board. Visually, it's in a class.
And it's like this was it's not a total departure from the retro rippers of the past, but the last 3 years before this, there were very similar graphics with different colours. Obviously, it's a real Japanese art type board, but I mean, that's a classic, almost like a Gentum stick kind of looking type board, I suppose.
Proper power board.
Again, like, you know, like all the Mayhem boards have got, there's no mag on that one at all, center base, but you know, you've got a board that's going to obviously, you're going to ride that quite long, I suppose, for deeper sort of snow, but
that's the last one.
That is the last one. We're going to be replaced by this little puppy here, which I'll have to show you. This is called the Mayhem Sweetfish for 25-26. Slightly different looking board. It's kind of cool looking tail with a bit of a fly to it and everything. Got a bit of a kick to it as well, interesting enough. So
it's going to give it definitely ollie better.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to have a bit more life.
It's not a one-for-one replacement, but it's a pretty good alternative, I reckon. So
they're very
is that
different.
wider?
So that's the 50. So there's only 3 sizes in that at the moment. I better pick it back up because you can have a look at it.
And that's the 6'1".
So that's a 6'1". So the 50 is 252 wide, but the next size up is a 5'6", which jumps a whole centimetre, 262.
Yeah.
The next size up to 160, and that jumps to 172. So it's like an exponentially jumping.
That's cool.
Width. Yeah.
That's going to make that board really easy to figure out who's riding what.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
How big's your foot, mate?
Yeah.
But I think, you know, like the difference between, say, riding something like that or the Retro Ripper or the Orca, I think if we were just talking about Japan, which we kind of have been, if you had like big open fields sort of thing, like really like not so dense trees, like big open patches of big snow, you know, that's going to be sick for just railing huge turns. But if you've got tight trees and stuff like that, you really want something that's really nimble, like the
volume shifted stuff, the small.
So it really gets you in and out of the trees.
Just for the people who don't understand, can you explain volume shifted? Because that word gets thrown a lot.
You're taking a longboard and you're squashing it.
Yeah.
But when you squash it, it also goes wider.
Yeah. You're squashing the length
so
down
that
to give
it can still hold the same weight, but there's less length.
Yeah,
and the
which makes it super nimble.
Yeah, which is like I mentioned before, planing surface. So planing is like the amount of board that is touching the snow. And so that's what volume shifted down would mean. Your planing surface is actually the same. So the 53 might be the same as a 57. The amount of board that's touching the snow, but it's much shorter.
It still floats you the same, essentially.
Yeah.
Because it's still got the same, you can only push a board in based on the...
Talk to them.
Sorry.
You're explaining it to me.
What I just said.
Point your fingers. You don't know now. But,
what I just said, but to you, not No, so I love volume shifted boards in the trees over there. Because those trees are so tight sometimes. You're like, if you're not on something nimble, you can't do it. You just can't ride those trees on big, long boards. We used to battle. I remember taking over 161s and 2s just because that's what you needed to float you.
But now you can bring out a 53, which floats as much. You can imagine you can just zip in and out of all those little pockets and stuff. And
it's so much more fun these days on these boards.
I think the day that I switched from like riding a twin or a directional twin to riding, you know, these style of boards, like proper powder boards in Japan, my riding changed dramatically.
Yeah, you looked in control for the first time. The first few years of you in powder was like watching a car crash. You somehow survived it, but you were borderline out of control all the time. I was always worried for you. I was like, holy shit, she's going to die.
That's kind of how I ride. But like...
Yeah, but now you don't look like that.
Yeah, but now I think because there's no tail, and you've got way more control
Less
over him.
chance you're going to clip something on the way out and do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. That's what the beauty of them is.
And you're also not having to fight the board to stay afloat. So you're not concentrating on that. You're not concentrating on getting your tail around.
You don't have to think about that, right?
So and you can just ride.
What you're thinking about is what tree you're aiming around, pretty much. Not looking. Exactly. You never look at the tree. You always look around the tree.
Yeah. Look at the gap.
Everyone always be like, plan your 3 moves ahead. And I'd be like, what do you mean plan my 3 moves ahead? I'm trying to pull this leg up.
Well, that's true. You used to look like you weren't planning anything.
Well, because I rode in Whistler, I was riding a traditional camber board, no rocker, twin.
And then you get to Japan and went, oh, these trees are really tight.
Right, yeah.
A lot of it comes down to like the longevity of your leg strength too, you know.
Yeah,
like if you're using 50% less power on your legs to keep yourself afloat, that means that by lunchtime your legs aren't completely cooked, basically.
It makes a huge difference.
So you can ride with power and preciseness and whatever it is the whole day pretty much. Where like boards gone past with camber, without the whole direction, you know, the directional, the volume shifted down. I mean, you like a couple of hours in deep power, man, and you were pretty
it used to be hard work.
It was hard work.
It was really hard work.
You get to the bottom, but man, your legs would be like, they still burn now a bit. Probably some 53 years old, but
that doesn't help.
Yeah, but I remember our trip in 2020, it was that like we were still doing exercise post a day of riding.
We'd go ride and then go to the gym
or do something or go for a walk.
We weren't burning out too bad because the boards were floating us. And that was a great season. That was when it was deep
We spent a month though, or 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Where's this, sorry?
We spent 3 weeks in Hokkaido.
Oh, okay.
And that was,
we just got lucky. We had snow pretty much every day.
Was that the trip 2 years ago?
In start of 2020.
3 years ago.
Oh, 2020, okay.
Yeah, and
2020?
That was 2020.
We were there
when it all went chaos. Yeah.
We were in the North Island being like, God, there's no one.
So you were there while it was actually going down.
Yeah.
We were in Risutsu and it was empty. And we're like, how good is this place?
Why is there no one here?
There's just us. Like, there were no Chinese.
That's because no one could actually come.
Yeah, we had no idea that. We were literally in a black hole from the point of view of knowing what was going on. We weren't looking at the news. We weren't talking to people back here regularly enough to know what was happening.
So when you left, wasn't there already like there was no travel restrictions or anything like that?
No.
We flew in. We landed back in Sydney like 2 days before
they closed.
Before isolation.
The quarantine started. Yeah, right.
We missed the hotel thing by 2 days.
And they were like,
most people haven't paid for that yet, have they? And I don't think they ever will.
No chance. I wouldn't pay either.
So basically, taxpayers have paid all that. Don't get me started on that.
The whole thing was crazy.
The whole thing was crooked.
We were in Risutsu. I remember one night we were staying at the convention center because everything was cheap. Nothing was booked out, so everything was dirt cheap. So we're on the mountain. The wave pool we had to ourselves.
And then there
on
was
the
also
border slides and just
a gym as well. And
what do you think of Risutsu?
Loved it.
Amazing.
It's pretty good.
I would call it arguably, I think we had it at its best with nobody there.
Yeah.
And it's one of the few mountains in the world where I would say to someone, hey, if you want to go somewhere to learn to ride deep snow in the trees, that's the place because you're not going to get in too much trouble. Everything comes out on the trail. It's really hard to make.
I've had a couple of all right days there, maybe not good, but I've had a couple of mates who have had really good days there and they go, that's probably the best tree riding I've done sort of thing. I think it's because it is quite simple. It's good, but it's simple.
It's super easy to not get in trouble.
Yeah.
And there's some Jurassic style tree stuff where there's big trees that have fallen, you ride under them. Yeah. It's cool, man.
Cool.
It was a cool mountain.
We got super lucky.
We got 7 days in a row of deep snow.
Yeah, and no one there. So
no one there.
You'll never get it that good or that uncrowded.
There was I remember we rode past and there was like one guy waiting up for this lift to open up and we were lapping like this weird like connecting lift and we were just like dropping down on the trees under this connection lift and we were just doing that over and over and over again. We're like, why is this dude waiting for this chairlift to open?
And you guys
we just kept coming back and he's still there. You're like, dude,
why are you waiting
for this?
I've done 3 laps of the most epic waist deep shit and you're just standing here waiting for this. It's not going to be better up there.
I was like, I remember this one because I was throwing myself off this like massive pillow and trying to flip and land, and I was
She was flipping all right.
and just not sticking it.
There was no way because the landing had a big bump.
Yeah, I kept like going off and hitting another thing and
giving us a
getting
crack
thrown.
though by the sounds of it.
Red hot crack. But literally thought, I'm going to call a helicopter in. She's going to be dead soon. Yeah,
it's fun.
Claire's fun to ride with. Like, she's fun to follow. It's terrifying at times. You're like, okay, do not follow her there. Like, I'll watch and go, I'm watching 3 or 4 or 5 trees ahead. I feel like Claire's watching 1,
maybe 2.
And occasionally I'll be like, why did she just turn there? She's about to get dead-ended. And I'll go off and just...
Like anywhere but there.
Anywhere but there. It's like she was not watching at all. Bang.
Have you come... Are you all good now? Like, since you... like.
Since my ACL?
Well, yeah, well, and everything else that happened like a year ago?
Untested.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm still doing rehab on it. So I'm working with a physio to get super strong for this Japan season. But yeah, everything's good. I'm running again, doing strength training. I'm just trying to
Probably fitter than us, mate.
I'm doing a test, I think at the end of the year in December, to see my leg strength in comparison to my good one, to see if it's thing. And if I get into the 10%, I'm cleared to all good.
Okay,
essentially.
Cool. Good for you.
But regardless of that, I'm going.
Yeah.
Like,
even if it's like 11%, I'm pretty sure you're still going to get it right.
It'll be fine. But that's why we're doing it like a month and a half before I leave, so that I still have another month and a half to go. Okay, cool. We need to just work on
more on it, sort of thing.
Hamstrings or something like that.
I think it'll be okay. We'll just take it easy for the first few days.
Yeah.
We'll go find somewhere mellow to ride that we've probably ridden before or something.
Yeah, I might try and get back on a surfboard.
I 100% think in your first day, not necessarily, but maybe a second too, you should only ever really do like 2 to 3 hours. Man.
Yep.
If you go nuts and ride, I mean, I reckon your legs stay toasted, like lactic acid stays in there for the next 10 days.
Yeah. How often do you hear about people who get hurt on their first day?
Most people.
All the time. Yeah. It's like, just chill. Just
feel the board under your feet again. It's been 6 months or whatever it is. Like,
just get back on the board and just enjoy turning. Go for a roll. Don't even try and get in the air. Just cruise around. It's not that hard, but we're old, man.
But I think Japan, because you kind of know you're going to have, like if you were to go somewhere else and you go, this might be the only power day we get for the next 2 weeks, then you might just go and beat it up all day, I suppose, which I'd probably do anyway. So, like Japan's still the place you go, you kind of know that the whole trip's going to be pretty good. Sort of thing.
You don't need to kill yourself today.
But even still, like if you're going down to Australia and you're the first day, you just cruise around.
Just cruise,
just get
especially
back
if it's hard pack, man. It's like, it's scary, that shit. So
before we wrap this up, can we just have a quick convo about the GNU Gremlin?
You can.
I've been selling this board for a few years.
You're gonna come,
or at least 2 years. I'll bring it over. Fuck's getting hot here.
It's got a nickname.
Might need to get.
The nickname for that board is the Angry Orca.
I reckon this thing might just be the answer to anyone who's looking for camber but also wants the feeling of an orca.
Again, it's volume shifted down. It's a cambered version of the Orca, obviously. So the shape's a little bit different. It's still got a sintered base. I mean, the Orca's horsepower, so it's a construction level up from this, but this is $200 cheaper as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've got basically a volume shifted down, kind of everything board though. I think like the difference between maybe the Gremlin and the Orca, they both, I guess they ride everything quite well. But with the Gremlin, if you're a better rider and you know what you're doing, you're going to get the most out of that board, I reckon. The Orca, if you're a good rider, you're going to get something out of that too, for sure. If you're a beginner intermediate, you can ride that too. You probably wouldn't want to be beginner intermediate on that one.
Do you think that angry is coming just from the camber?
Yeah, that's basically exactly right. It's not. There's nothing angry about the board at all.
It's not the flex or anything.
It's C3. It's our version. It's one of our versions of camber, but C3 means it's got a flat spot through the middle, sort of thing, which activates the middle of the board. Blah 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 blah. You know, like in deeper snow, it's definitely going to hold. Its nose is going to stay up out of the snow quite well, but it will take a bit more effort than it would in the Orca, obviously.
For sure,
you know, because it's camber.
It goes right to the.
You can. For sure.
It doesn't have that big spoony kind of effect.
So literally that's it though.
We get asked about it a lot. It's probably the most popular review that I've ever done. So it's an interesting board. It gets talked about a lot.
Like I rode the 52 down to Hotham 2 years ago. It's the first time I've ridden it. Pretty shit snow, just really cruddy, bumpy, lumpy, shitty sort of snow. I rode 3 or 4 boards that day, and a lot of them were kind of a little bit, I was just getting spat out of turns here and there or whatever. This thing here just ate through everything pretty much. Right. Like, I haven't
ridden it. I really want to ride.
Yeah, it's really fun to ride. Yeah, again, to get the most out of the board though, you'd want to be a decent sort of rider, I guess. But it's just like pretty much a cambered version of the Orca, really.
Yeah, cool. Well, next year's one is teal. It's kind of
teal. It is teal.
These beer cans. No,
it's probably a little bit greener than that. It's actually teal. Yeah.
But yeah, it looks really good again. So that's another board for people who are looking for something to take to Japan. That'd be a good one too.
Absolutely.
There's a ton of good boards to take to Japan. So come in. We'll talk to you.
Yeah, we got lots of them coming here.
Sweet. Awesome. And we're done. We're wrapping this thing up.
I think we might be. Are we wrapping it?
Yeah, wrap it up. Now you say goodbye to the people.
Adios, amigos.
Until next time.